starting to work as a journal when I was very young helped me a lot into structuring the way I am writing and the way I am structuring a story. So I think it had an influence on my storytelling because I was forced, first of all, to look for topics that would interest others, and on the same time to see how I can structure them internally so that they develop. And it also helped me create a personal style in storytelling that I think I translated later on into my approach of filmmaking. Like whenever I write my screenplays, for example, I just describe what you will see as a spectator. I never use any kind of extra words about who's feeling what or whatever. It's not really important to place this in the screenplay for me. It's important to imagine what you're going to shoot. And for this, I think, my humble start in journalism had an impact. And the other thing is that, that structure of a piece of news that really helped, the clarity needed to understand who did what and why, that helped me. And I kept this habit until today to read a lot of press. Because if somebody gets into the press, it means that it passed a filter of interest and somebody is interested to know that story. And still today I gather a lot of stories like this for me, for the screenplays that I'm writing. I think it's difficult to have like a global appreciation regarding the situation of cinema in all the European countries, because the situation is quite different from one territory to another. Overall, I think that in most of the countries you have the conditions of being able to make your debut and of probably appealing to public funding if you have a project. But at the same time, what changed in this period is that the interest for what we used to call art house films is not as big as it used to be, especially after platforms popped up on the market and after COVID, and given the piracy existing in cinemas, if you come from a smaller country and you can't protect your film, this, conducted to a smaller number of people coming to see these films in cinemas. So I think that one of the important things is to remember that even if we make films with the public subsidies, these films should be for spectators and should interest spectators. Well, right now in Romania we still have a system based on the cinema law. So far it worked. I think that most of the films that you've seen in the last 20 years in Romania were based on the benefits of this law, and it's still a law who gives the opportunity for several young people to make their debut. Now this law is going to be debated again and changed. If this is for the better or not, we're going to see soon. Of course, the only problem is that we have very little money for filmmaking, like all the other Eastern countries, and therefore it's not possible to imagine anything more important than a film with a few people talking. It's impossible to make like big productions in Romania, and everything is dependent on co-productions. And sometimes co-productions might help you, but sometimes there's a strange influence of co-productions in the sense that they will encourage the inclusion of some elements only for the sake of co-production, elements that you didn't need in the original story. We have now a couple of projects that we work for, we develop. One is a project that I have written, and is the continuation of Tales from the Golden Age. I wrote Tales from the Golden Age 3, only that this time each episode happens in a different Eastern European country. And there is a Polish episode for which we are looking for a co-producer. It's a funny story based on this habits from the 80s when very many Polish people were coming to the Black Sea in Romania. So yes, I'm talking these days here in Venice, and we started talking previously to several production houses in Poland to see if it's possible to collaborate on this one. And on the other side, my cinematographer is involved in a Polish project, so we're trying to help that project out to get some Romanian money and to have a common co-production. Fjord was shot in Norway because this is where the original stories that I used for the screenplay happened, not only in Norway but in the Nordic countries. And I used English because it's again a project involving people coming from different cultures, and basically they use English as a language of communication between them. It's a story involving mostly Norwegian people, Romanians living there, and people from the north, and they use English to communicate with one another. So the story was naturally set there, and I was very happy to see that it was possible to create kind of an international crew in which we got along very well with all the Nordic co-producers that we had for this project. I enjoy being here in Venice. I enjoy watching the films. I think that the best films produced in a year aim to reach Cannes or Venice. So it's a privilege to watch them as premieres. As you maybe know, we organize a couple of festivals back home in Romania, and so I'm here with a mission as well. I mean, I'm always very curious to discover films as premieres and to introduce them to the Romanian audience. And it is not that different as an atmosphere. You meet more or less the same people, you meet the same filmmakers, some of them, and you meet lovely spectators willing to discover these films as premieres. So I think that it's this lovely atmosphere of festivals that bring cinema forward as being one of the most important moments, things, events in the world today. Of course it's not like this, but it's very nice that for 10 days cinema has this place in which all the attention in the world is on such lovely festivals.